Greetings and salutations, everyone. I do hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click the bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload, shall we? This happened when I was 22, so 2 years ago. For the past 5 or 6 years, I've only had 2 friends who stuck with me through everything. We all live within 5 minutes of each other in a rural area of southwest Ohio, specifically in the hills of the Ohio River Valley. My name's Greg, my friends Will and Adam, and my brother Ryan. Adam and Will are next-door neighbors. They both live on decent-sized plots of land that they don't actually own. There's lots of farmland and thick forest. Behind Will's house is a couple of small ponds we used to fish in. His house is pretty small and not in the best condition. Adam lived in a medium-sized brick house. We'd usually go to Will's house to hang out during the summer since his parents were always at camp. And Adam's house, or my house during the other seasons, this is somewhat relevant, but mostly for the setup. Like I said, this happened 2 years ago. We all love guns. So when Adam called and told me he had bought a brand new AR-15, I knew we were going to end up shooting before the day was over. I grabbed my SKS carbine and a Glock 19. Ryan grabbed his AK-47 and his SIG P230. And we got in my Jeep and drove over to Adam's house. It was still early. About 3 in the afternoon. Less than 5 minutes after we had pulled in, a black Chevy Impala pulled in the driveway, heralding Will's arrival. He brought his AR-15 and his Beretta M9. We shot for a couple hours, just taking pot shots at a wooden target Adam had built in his backyard. And we had burned through a pretty big chunk of our ammo. I wanted to get something to drink, so I got into the Jeep and drove about 10 minutes away to the closest gas station. After getting to the gas station and getting a few cans of Nectar of the Gods, by which, of course, I mean Monster, I headed back to Adam's house. When I came back, I saw Will, Adam, and Ryan standing by the door at the side of the house. Adam had a very uneasy look on his face. I got out of the Jeep and walked over and asked what was going on. We heard some weird sounds in the woods a few minutes ago. Will told me. I asked what he was talking about and what he meant by weird sounds. He began to explain. We heard some sort of loud vocalization that sounded like a mix between a coyote's yelping and a howl. None of us had any idea what could have been, so we decided to forget about it. We went inside and decided to play some games. After a few hours, I became bored and started browsing 4chan on my phone and lost track of time, but it was getting pretty late. Will had walked outside to have a cigarette. Adam was in the bathroom, and Ryan's girlfriend came and picked him up. Adam's dog started to bark all of a sudden and startled me. I heard Will come back inside the house rather quickly. I asked what was going on and if something was wrong. "Step outside and check for yourself," he told me. I stepped outside, curious about what the dogs were barking at. And the second I opened the door, the smell hit me. It was the worst smell I had ever smelled in my entire life. Imagine the smell of wet dog, the smell of dead deer rotting in the sun, and the smell of a landfill. That's the best and only way I can describe it. Repulsed by the smell, I went back inside and told Will, "I can see why you came in so quickly." The dogs were still barking, and they seemed to be getting more aggressive. Adam finally came out of the bathroom, wondering what the commotion was. Will explained the smell, and Adam seemed more curious than anything. He was also angry about the prospect of someone trespassing. He grabbed his AR-15 and his 1911 and walked outside and looked around. He told us to stay inside until he got back. Not thinking much of it, we agreed and began browsing 4chan again. I was startled when I heard the sound of a dog yelp, followed by 5 gunshots in rapid succession. A couple minutes later, Adam busted through the door. "Get your friggin' guns," he said in a panicked voice. "Some tall dude in a ghillie suit just killed one of my dogs." We grabbed our guns and followed him outside, staying close the entire time. Sure enough, in the backyard, we found one of his dogs dead. The throat was ripped out. This wasn't a small dog either. It's a large poodle mix of some kind, one of those really big ones. Close by, we saw the other dog cowering in its doghouse. The cows in the pasture on the other side of the road were mooing, as if they were afraid and agitated. I asked Adam to explain what was going on, and he told me. I was on the other side of the barn when I heard my dog yelp. When I rounded the corner, I saw a figure that looked like a big guy in a ghillie suit running toward the woods. I shot at him, hoping to hit him in his leg and incapacitate him, but I know I didn't hit him. The same smell I described earlier was hanging around in the air, but it was faint. Will and Adam had their flashlights on their rifles, and I had one on my pistol, so I slung my SKS over my back and drew my pistol, and we fanned out to search the area. I wasn't expecting to find anything. I could see Will heading to the other edge of the property, and Adam was moving toward the cow pasture. I headed back toward the barn, and as I started to step in, I lit a cigarette. I felt raindrops start to hit me, so I stepped into the barn to smoke. I stood there for less than a minute when I heard another gunshot. It came from the direction Will went in. I started walking that way. I saw Adam heading that way as well. While we were making our way over, Will fired 3 more shots. "What the hell are you shooting at?" Adam asked. I saw the dude, but Will's voice was shaky and hushed. It didn't look like a guy. Will took a heavy gulp and continued to explain. It looked like a big dog or a wolf. I could clearly see its muzzle and ears. I saw it standing behind some bushes, but it had to have been standing on its hind legs. He stopped, pulled out a cigarette, his hand shaking, but still managed to light it. I sized it up using the nearby tree, and it had to have been over 6 feet. "What are you even talking about, you schizo?" Adam asked. "You know there aren't any wolves anywhere nearby, and the coyotes don't get that big. You think a coyote would have had the guts to come up and rip my dog's throat out too? We've got to be dealing with some pelt-wearing hermit strung out on meth or something," I chimed in. The tree that Will was talking about was about 350 feet away, so we all walked over to see what he was talking about. The rain started picking up, and the wind was getting strong as well. A clap of thunder put us all on edge. Sure enough, once we reached the tree, a large maple, the branch he used to determine the size, was close to 8 feet off the ground by our estimate. We decided to put the other dog in the garage and keep it safe from whoever or whatever was messing with us. This dog was inside a small kennel, but if you live in a rural area, you know a junkie always finds a way to break into places they aren't wanted. Adam unlocked the kennel. She followed Adam to the garage and went right inside. Adam locked the door, and we ran back into the house. "So should we just leave? We can crash at Greg's house until morning," Will said. I reminded him that Ryan and his girlfriend were there. His face instantly shifted to that of disgust. We all hated Ryan's girlfriend because she was not the kindest person, if you catch my meaning. None of us wanted to deal with her, so we unanimously decided just to hunker down with our guns and stay awake for shifts. It was past midnight at this point. I volunteered to take the first shift from midnight to 2 a.m. Will and Adam passed out. I sat there watching out the window. I became bored after my adrenaline wore off. I reached into my backpack and pulled out a finely crafted cigar. I stepped out on the back porch, lit my stogie, and began to smoke and unwind. I stood there for about 10 minutes when I heard the cows start to make a lot of noise again, and I could hear the other dog barking aggressively inside the garage. I became on edge again, and I sat my cigar in the ashtray. I unslung my rifle and held it with the safety off. It's sure not to stray too far out of the porch light, but I got far enough into the field to see movement in the tree line. I couldn't see what it was, but in the gap of the trees and undergrowth, I saw a quick flash of a gray figure. I began feeling very uneasy, so I started backing to the house. I could hear rustling over the breeze. It sounded like it was moving toward me. I pointed my rifle in the direction. If you're not familiar with guns, the typical SKS has a 10-round fixed mag, which means it doesn't come out. I had 10 shots to defend myself before I would have to reach for my pistol if something were to happen. The rustling stopped. I still couldn't see anything. I was about halfway between the porch and the tree line. Time felt like it stopped. I felt like I was standing there for hours. I turned and ran, hearing something burst out from the undergrowth behind me. I reached the back door and threw the door open, struggling to catch my breath due to years of smoking. Will and Adam had woken up, and Will's shift started soon. I told them about what happened, and they told me to go lie down for a bit. And when I woke up, we would all sit up until sunrise. I lay down on the couch and managed to somehow doze off. I was awoken not long after by Will shaking me. "We gotta go now," he said in a panicked tone. "Adam went outside over a half an hour ago, and he's still not back." I was still half asleep, so it took a second to sink in. "Adam's gone?" I asked, trying to make sense of what I was hearing. I sat up and asked Will to explain what was going on. We heard the cows outside acting agitated, but then they started to sound like they were afraid, and some of them managed to trample through the fence. Adam went to see what scared them and told me if I wasn't back in 10 minutes to call the cops. I'm lacing up my boots. To hell with that. We gotta go. Adam's our brother. We can't just leave him out there. We gotta go find him. Agreeing without any hesitation, we grabbed our guns, my backpack with extra ammo. Will grabbed a machete. We walked out the door and locked it behind us. I could see the spot in the fence where the cows had broken through. We crossed the road and walked into the pasture. This pasture is huge. Part of it's just grass. It also has a small pond, but most of it's forest, flat forest, the kind with not much undergrowth and where the trees are spaced out. A great place for cattle and a great place to hunt as well. If I had to guess, I would say it's at least 200 acres. We used to hunt on this farm's land as well. He was leading the way when we heard a long string of rapid gunshots, followed by a short pause, followed by 9 more shots. It was clearly Adam emptying his rifle, grabbing his pistol, and emptying it as well. We sprinted in that way. Even though it sounded far off, we reached the wooded part of the property and started calling for A. We kept making our way in the direction we heard the shots come from. Panic began to set in each passing moment. Will was losing his cool, and I was definitely not far behind. Will suddenly fired off a shot and began sprinting. "There he is! That's got to be him!" He was yelling. I gave chase, but was having trouble keeping up. "Slow down," I yelled, trying to get Will to listen. "We need to stick together or we're screwed." He didn't listen. His light was bobbing back and forth as he ran, and I continued to follow. I slipped in a mud puddle, at least I hope it was mud, and ate ground. I looked up and started trying to regain my bearings. When I looked up, I saw a silhouette. Standing about 50 feet away, it looked like a huge German Shepherd type dog standing on its back legs. Its ears were up. I could see its muzzle as it was looking in a different direction. I looked up and saw that it didn't have front legs, but what looked like arms with hands and fingers tipped with claws. It seemed to be covered in gray matted fur, but what stood out the most to me was these piercing yellow eyes. I saw it run off in the direction that Will was going. I stood up as quick as I could and gave chase in that same direction. If Will is in danger, I had to do something to try to help. I ran and ran. I started to hear gunshots and eventually saw Will's light in the distance. He stopped shooting, and I saw the light point at the ground like he was reloading. I caught up and asked if he had seen it. I looked over and noticed Adam on the ground. His back was against this tree. I started to panic and asked if he was okay. "He's breathing, just unconscious," Will replied. "We've got to get him home." We both picked him up and slung the arm around our shoulders. We began to make our way back to the house, but we knew we were being watched, and even worse followed. We could hear it moving when we moved and stopping when we stopped. I drew my pistol with my free hand and switched on the light attached to it. My eyes stung as sweat made its way inside. Will and I were both out of breath, and we still had a long way to go back. After walking for about 20 minutes, Adam woke up. We stopped and asked what happened. He began to explain what happened, but was cut off by the sound of a branch snapping. Will and I both trained our lights in the direction and saw the now familiar flash of gray just at the edge of the light. I turned in the direction and fired 3 shots. We heard a growl and the sound of something big running away from us. We took that opportunity and booked it. If I had to keep track of time and the direction as well as I thought, we should break out of these trees in about 10 minutes. And we'd be able to see the lights from the house. I was right, we broke through the tree line into the pasture. We felt like we were in the clear. We could see the light from the house. We ran through the pasture and made it to the fence and crossed the street. I asked Adam to unlock the door of the house. He frantically searched his pockets for his key but couldn't find it. He began to panic. We calmed him down and suggested he try a window. Adam, being the smallest of us, agreed. We went to the back of the house and managed to remove the AC from the window, which Adam then climbed through. He let us in, and the rest of the night was uneventful. The next day, we talked to the owner of the pasture where this happened. He found 3 of his cows dead and partially eaten. He also found a blood trail in the wooded area that led toward the house, and then the opposite direction to the edge of his property. He found Adam's keys on the ground where he had been knocked out, and we found him. The farmer explained the blood trail led onto the land owned by an old hermit who lived in a trailer in the woods. He apparently never leaves and has relatives bring him food, and it's rumored to have messed with the occult stuff in his younger days. We told the farmer everything, but he didn't believe us, thinking we just saw a pack of rabid coyote or feral dog. None of us agreed with that, so what could it have been? Was it a Dogman? Adam still lives in that same house and hasn't seen or heard anything since. All of this is 100% true. I stake my life on it, and I apologize for the anticlimactic ending. Today's second encounter. Last year I got a wild hair up my ass and plunged into this Dogman Bigfoot thing. 7 or 8 months of just nonstop researching and annoying the dog shit out of my girlfriend about Dogman, Bigfoot, what have you. This was all brought on by nothing more than clicking a YouTube video one night. My girlfriend's family, turns out, has a little history with the big hairy guys. Her uncle was featured in some European Yeti Squatch hunter after reporting a 12.5 or 13-inch footprint in his backyard. They all live out in the sticks of Virginia. And her brother says that he was out off-roading at night with a buddy in the back of his Jeep when that buddy shrieks and tumbles out of his Jeep. Her brother, driving, started to stop, and his buddy came hauling ass out of the dark, screaming, "Just drive!" saying he saw some big-ass thing on two legs running toward the headlights of the Jeep. This guy swears whatever it was stood at least 8 or 9 feet. Girlfriend's brother never saw it, but he has been out in the woods at night and something huge, although he says they are built real thin-like and not hairy that he can ever see. Says he's seen these things 3 or 4 times, and from what he's found out, without a doubt are munching down on the local deer population. Fast forward about a month and a half from me hearing about this. It's Christmas Day. We're out at her family's Christmas dinner. Great food. People are cool. Sasquatch is far from my mind. And we head out about 5:45, 6 p.m.-ish. It's light out, but at the end of the day. And at the end of the driveway, I have to turn my headlights on, so it's just after sundown. 15, maybe 20 minutes into the drive back home, we're coming up on a medium left curve, and my headlights begin to light up the foot, then the leg, and then the back of this huge thing. I'm still reluctant to say whatever it is for sure. This thing was easily every bit 9 feet tall. The foot that was illuminated was atop of a double yellow line, and I'd say about half of the heel overhanging the yellow line. And on the other side, probably all its toes, maybe up to the ball of its foot, going past the side of the double yellow. It was crossing the road from my right toward the left, and quick enough that my lights never hit its face, just kind of got its back and shoulder. The thing that made me really slam on my brakes was seeing whatever it was step from the double yellow line to the shoulder or ditch of the road in one stride. And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you, and I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.